you're listening to the last of the Crosley Hotshot fans. Listen, you talk about the Crosley Hotshot that I once, and I'll here we'll give you true dynamic trivia, and I'm sure that Don knows. I once worked at a television station. Now listen carefully. It's a TV station and a big radio station. It was a big combined operation. And they had all kinds of engineers. We did all kinds of remotes. I'm talking about television remotes. Did all kinds of stuff, like bringing stuff from various city hall meetings and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of it was done live. Now, they had a rule at this station. In fact, it was not a rule. It was just a fact. They didn't even talk about it. That they had a fleet of cars which the station used in its performance of its duty. One of the worst fleets of cars ever devised by the sick mind of man. And the reason... Now, I'll give you a clue. The television station and the radio station was connected very closely, and in fact owned by the same man, but the company that made the cars. Now, what radio and television station was that? And what was the car? Now think carefully. This is a great name in radio and television. They also made a car. Huh? Yes, you're correct. The car in question was the Crosley. And I'll never forget one day, this little tin can. I mean, if any of you remember what the Crosley was like, it was made out of reprocessed sardine cans made earlier in Japan. It was some car. Well, one day I got in this car with this engineer. See, we're going to do a remote. And he had in the back of the car, he had, among other things, he had a television camera. Now, that's a lot of weight. And it was taken off the tripod, and he had this thing put in the back. It was the station wagon version, right? So I get it. This poor little engineer, who was a nice little quiet engineer, like many engineers are quiet little guys. See, so we go charging out because we were sent to this big remote, and it had to be done right now. And it was somewhere down by the railroad station, which is down by the river in Cincinnati, right? And there's hills there. You got to remember that. First of all, there's hills. Very important. It's like San Francisco. So Johnny says, "Hurry up, get in. We've only got 22 minutes." So I rush. I sit down in the seat next to the driver. Now the seats in the Crosley were roughly the size of, let's say, half a stool that you see at the Chock full of nuts. And they were little plastic seats, So I get in. I sit down in this little thing, and Johnny gets on the other side. Now, the engine in the Crosley was known as the fish can engine, if you remember anything about that, and it was a pressed engine. Pressed. It was pressed together. It was a new type of engine, and it had a curious sound to it. It would go ting 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 ting, and it would make a little ringing sound. It sounded a little bit like a baby's rattle connected to a rubber band driven mixmaster. You got it now? So we pile into the car. Jim, this is the kind of thing that makes engineers grow very old before their time. And I might add also talent. Remember, I'm the talent. So I sit in there, and why were we going down to the railroad station? Well, the President of the United States was about to arrive. Now, he doesn't arrive often. So we go charging down, and we get the car going. It actually started, which surprised us. And Johnny throws this thing in the first. It had a little gear shift knob, came out, and we go out into the street. We get on the street now and turn right, and we're going down this hill. Well, we start rolling, and Johnny says, "I can't stop it." Down at the bottom is the lights. See, this little thing is rolling like crazy, and now ordinarily you could stop one of these by sticking your foot out and dragging it. But with the weight of the television camera behind us, which weighed more than the car, we had problems. See, the weight is pulling us down. So Johnny says, "I can't stop it." So I think I have mechanical brakes. I don't know what I'm doing. So he puts the brakes on full, and you hear this little in the back. Nothing. We didn't slow up. I want to tell you, we're rolling on. I said, "Oh my God, my time has come. This is it. This is it. What an ignominious way to go." I mean, here I am climbing up the ladder of Showbiz, and I'm going to get destroyed in a balsa balsa wood tinfoil Crosley, just like this. Well, we go through the stoplight. Naturally, we hit the red. We go through the stoplight, and two cars are going in opposite directions, crossing us. It was exactly like you see in the old silent Keystone Cops things. We went, what? One guy went in front of us, what? Another guy went, and I got one brief glance at both drivers as one guy's eyeballs were like headlights. Oh my God, what is this? To begin with, it could hardly see the car. It looked like some giant rat or something was running across the street. So with that point, the two cars, and we just kept right on going. The hill continued. See, we go roaring down this road. We're breaking all existing records to get to the railroad station, all existing. So we get down to the bottom. Now, we had to turn right. This is where it got exciting. Onto like a little bridge over a road there. We came down, and Johnny says, I don't know what to do. I says, Johnny, don't try to make the turn. He says, but we got to go. We're going to be late. If this car keeps rolling, we're going to wind up someplace outside of Portsmouth, Ohio. It's just going to keep rolling all the way down the river. I said, but John, he said, I got to turn because the railroad station is off to the right. And I says, no, Johnny, no. And we hit the turn, and Johnny turns the wheel, and sure enough, there I am. Now we're turning right. You got it? I am sitting on the right-hand side. You got it? I looked down, and I saw the road receding from me. I actually saw the road dropping away from me. We are now on two wheels. I look down, and down below me, still frantically driving the car, is Johnny. Well, the car, it just laid over like that. Have you ever been in a car that turned over? Well, I want to tell you what happened, if you want to know what it's like. The car went up like that, and he's going around a corner, and I could see people all around me looking, great, wide, staring eyes, and it was like, in that instant of there's a theory that says in man's instant of mortal danger, his mind has a supernatural clarity. You've heard this? He sees things with total truth and clarity. It's like a bullfighter when he sees that giant horn suddenly approaching his groin, and he knows he ain't going to get out of the way of it. That is the moment of double truth. I mean, it's not just the moment of truth, it's the moment of truth. Well, we start to go over on the side like that, and the car just lays over. It's so neat, you never would believe it. I look up, and I see the wheels out there, and I'm looking at the sky, and we just slid down the street. The car slid down the street on its side. It just slid maybe 75. We got it stopped anyway. That was good. We slid about 75 feet on the side, and Johnny's still staring at it. I look down. Here he is on the bottom, and he's still staring at the thing. The television camera has flopped over, and boy, did that help. That TV camera tipped us over. The center of gravity changed when we started to go, and the camera started to crawl up the side of the car, and that was it. We went right over on our side, and we just putted down the road like that on our side. Well, Johnny, being a true, dedicated member of the engineering corps, was not going to let that stop him. So the car slowed up and stopped. I says, quick, Johnny, jump on before it blows up. He says, what do you mean blows up? We're going to be late. And at that point, I climbed up out of the car fast. I thought it was going to blow up or something. And the people were all standing around. Johnny jumps up out of the car. He climbs literally hand over hand over the seats. And now we're both on the ground, and here's our little Crosley upside down, with the wheels still going. It looked like a little roller skate, a little roller skate that had gone mad. At that point, Johnny was fine. He wasn't worried because we tipped over. The true engineer. He was not worried that we tipped over, almost got killed in the car, and that everything got blown up like that. He was worried that his supervisor, who was already at the railroad station, was really going to get bugged because we didn't bring that camera down there, and we were late and the whole bit, blew the whole gap. So Johnny says, quick! He says, quick, help me! And he's got a hold of the bottom of the car now, see? The doors are open, and he's trying to pull it back upright. So I reach up without even thinking, see, being very dumb myself. I reach up and I grab the car, see. So we're both rocking it back, and the crowd is watching. Everybody's watching, see. So not one person offered to give us a hand. I guess it was such a wild scene that they couldn't put it together. You know, it's like trying to help the Keystone Cops when you see them in a movie. You just let it happen, see? So these people are all standing around, and Johnny and I are pulling like hell, see? Well, being that I was on television, about 20 people suddenly recognized me. You know, it's like seeing Johnny Carson out there trying to repair a bicycle tire, you know, in the middle of a road or something. See, so the people started saying, "Hey!" and they're running up to me. "Can I have your autograph?" I says, "I don't have time for that." And we're pulling like this. And the guy says, "But my kid watches." I says, "Shut up, will you?" And he says, "Well, I always knew you guys in show business were a bunch of bums." "Oh, wow, I always knew that." "Boy, wait till my kid hears this." I says, "Yeah, you know you're your kid. Bring him around and I'll do it for you. Here, help me." And I pull him like this. Well, at that point, the car started to rock, and down it went on its wheels. Just like that. Johnny says, "Quick, in the car." We run around. He gets in the car. I get in the car. Away it goes. The darn thing started. I wouldn't believe it. We roared into the station, and we're about half a block away, see. He's got this thing going flat out, which meant it was going well over 20, 25 miles an hour, you know. This is Crosley. So we're approaching the station, and roaring up the station. Johnny turns to me and says, Don't tell Carson what happened." Carson was of course, the supervisor. He says, Don't tell him why we're late." I said, "But we're not late, Johnny. Look at that. We've got 5 minutes. The whole thing happened in about 12 minutes, down the street, the whole bit, see." So he says, Don't tell him. Well, at that point, we rushed out of the car, carried the camera in, and the whole show went off just like peaches and cream. They plugged it in, the camera worked. And and afterwards, I remember the supervisor coming over, and he says, "Hey, how come you got them scratches on the side of the car?" And Johnny, you know, we had the big call letters on the side. He says, "Gee, I don't know. It was like that when I got it, Chief. I don't know anything about it. It was like that, you know, just funny." Well, you ain't heard the last of it. That night on the 6 o'clock news, the rival station apparently had been behind us and had seen the whole Megillah happen, and they instead of having TV cameras, they had film with them. They had a 16 millimeter film, and believe it or not, they took a picture of us riding the car, and it was right there at the 6 o'clock news, right after the Preparation H commercial, and in full color. And at that point, we had a lot of explaining to do the next day. Oh, listen.